This is an on-center turbine housing. Now, this flange is unique, and I say that because you can go to the local hardware store and get a flange just like this. 4-bolt fits directly on there, and I bought that so that I could be able to machine something like this when in my olden days when I was working on stuff and didn't have a 3-jaw chuck. So what I was told is this is a toilet flange. And I don't know that that's 100% sure because I've never actually removed a toilet before. But I kind of want to just take that guy's word for it rather than to tear up my toilet over there to find out that's what that is. Now this turbo or turbine housing, I'm planning to do something unique. So I just want to foreshadow with you before you actually see this video because I haven't made this turbo yet, but this is an idea I had. I'm planning to take this cartridge that Ian built a really long time ago for someone. They decided they wanted to go bigger, so we built this cartridge. I don't have a use for it, and I'm planning to take this cartridge and put it on my BMW E36 that I don't think I've shared with this channel yet. So if you are interested in the E36 turbo builds, you probably should subscribe to this channel just so you can kind of see how my E36 will come out. This is a GTX 35A2R compressor wheel. This right here is a TO4E plate, but I'm planning to convert that over to a TO4S plate. And the turbine wheel is one of our own. It's a 67 by 74 millimeter turbine, which we had made. It's custom made. It's made for a ball bearing center section, but it's the HX40 turbine wheel. And I'm going to machine this turbine housing to fit this cartridge. And the reason I have this housing here is because I want to show you what it's going to look like when this one's done. This is a T4 1.15 turbine housing that I've machined for a GT35R center cartridge and our HX40 67mm turbine wheel. The way I was able to do this is normally this is for a P-trim turbine or a GT37R turbine, which is 64.5 millimeter. So I machined that out to fit the 67 millimeter turbine. And then I actually cut this back in this direction a little bit to be able to move the cartridge back as much as possible. Otherwise, I'd put it in deeper than I really want because it does start to get thin if you keep going deeper. I'm going to have some adapter plates or spacers that will hold the center cartridge in without having to machine this deeper than I want to, which would put it in risk for this housing having problems from heat, cracking, and such like that. Yeah, so like you can see this, it's a T4 1.15 divided. And I machined it out for a ball bearing center cartridge for a GT35R and our turbine wheel. This one is an on-center T4 open, which fits the manifold I have on my car. And the cool thing about this housing is this can be machined out for a lot of different turbine wheels because it's so small. I think it's around 55 or 58 millimeter right now. So if I wanted to machine this for an HX35, I could do that. HX40. So I could do a 60 millimeter, 64 millimeter, 67 millimeter HX40. And then the other options are I could do precision 6262, 6266, or I could do ball bearing options like the well, the GT3076 is too small. I can go GT35R and bigger, or GT3576R would be the smallest. Then I can do that ball bearing turbine like I want to do with this one. I actually have another one of these. I have a couple of these sitting around. Sometimes you can pick some stuff like this up really cheap off eBay when people don't really know what they have or people don't really have a use for it. And so anyway, Ian picked this up pretty cheap. I think he got 2 of these complete turbos, brand new, for like $100 or somewhere around that range. Brand new turbos. And this was, I think, I'm trying to remember the brand name. I think it's Ray J or something. Yeah, I think it's Ray J. But anyway, they used to make aftermarket turbo kits for V8s and stuff, so that's originally what this was for. But there are several different uses you can have with that. The reason it's on center is because with the manifold on the BMW, it comes out and the subframe's like right here. So if you have the tangential, this whole area just knocks right into the subframe. So instead of putting the turbo on backwards to be able to have clearance for the turbo, the way to go about fixing this problem would be to center up the flange, and then the air goes around like this. And that's what the purpose of the on-center is for clearance. Otherwise, you can use an adapter that will be like a T4. You can get this adapter that will be like T4 or T3, and then you could get like an angled off of it. I have some of those adapter plates. I think they're sitting in my car. But anyway, I don't think I'm going to end up using those. I think I'm just going to use this thing because it will raise the turbo up to the height that needs to be. If I start using the adapters, the problem is it puts the turbo lower. And with the turbo being lower on that car, it puts it into the oil level of the motor. So the oil level could be all the way up inside the turbo, causing it to leak oil just as it's sitting there. So I'm trying to avoid that with this. Here's my E36 so you can see it. And that's my turbo back exhaust right there. So it's a pretty cool car. This is actually the first car I've ever owned was an E36, and I really love those cars. It's a 1995 and it's fully loaded, which is really cool. But anyway, I'm too lazy to go outside, so I'm just looking at the security cameras.